Good morning and welcome. Trust and pray it's going good. You're looking forward to summer as it begins to arrive in all its splendor. By the way, you may have noticed I'm wearing my In-N-Out Burger t-shirt that I bought in Texas. There's only two states that they actually put the state on. Well, that's Texas and California. And I still have to get my California version. Some of you are saying, "Oh, so what? What's the big deal?" Well, In-N-Out Burgers are without question the best hamburger joint on the planet. It's like a McDonald's, but they're not up here in Washington. They're in other states that don't have the onerous business restrictions that a lot of states have. So anyway, bottom line is that they're the best hamburgers. In fact, not just it's just me just saying that. Chef Gordon Ramsay of TV fame once was asked what his guiltiest pleasure was, and he said it was In-N-Out Burgers. He said, in fact, I just went there and had what they call a double animal style. I'll let you discover that all on your own. But then he said, after I ate it, I went through the drive-through and got a second one. How he managed to consume both of those, I don't know. But it just speaks to the powerful wonder of In-N-Out Burgers. So if you're ever in California or Texas or a few other places where they have them, you got to stop in there. It's Christian-owned, and they treat their employees extremely well, so that a lot of people who work for them make it a career. So anyway, that's my push, and I don't get anything for that. I should get some kind of recompense, right? Okay. Anyway, closest you'll get to a commercial from me. But what I wanted to talk about today may seem kind of strange to you, but although the In-N-Out Burger was strange enough. But in my daily reading, I tell you oftentimes I read 4 chapters in the Old Testament usually, and I read one in the New, sometimes more. But today I started reading in the book of Second Chronicles, First Chronicles. And those of you who are familiar with First Chronicles know that the first 9 chapters are nothing else but genealogical records, or what the Hebrews call toledot. It's basically a family tree. And for a lot of people, you get to that and just skip across it and go to where the story starts up again. You get back into the narrative history. And I understand that. I confess, when I first started reading through these, I did it myself. I had trouble just pronouncing the names, much less trying to put them all together. One of the things that happens over the years, though, is as you study and you read and you cross-reference and you go back, you begin to recognize some of the names and some of the people, and the history begins to automatically get filled in between those names and those people. And it actually, believe me, it actually becomes quite fascinating. I spent a lot of time this morning just going through the first 4 chapters of those genealogies. And I thought to myself, because I'm always thinking, okay, what am I going to share on today? What kind of word of inspiration can I give? And I think, what can I get out of the book of Second Chronicles, the first 9 chapters? And actually, it just occurred to me that there are actually a number of things that really, I think, are quite significant. I mean, the first thing is what it tells us, because it starts with Adam, the father of us all, that all of us are related. Just as Genesis tells us in the first 2 chapters that God created us all, so also the Toledotes in Second Chronicles, First Chronicles start exactly the same place, that we are all interconnected. And even though the family tree goes on through Abraham and Moses and David and so forth and so on, the reality is that all of us are made of the same thing. It really kind of mimics what, or I should say, is represented by what Thomas Jefferson and the other founding writers of our documents in their Declaration of Independence said, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they're endowed by their Creator by certain unalienable rights. In other words, the idea that somehow I'm better than somebody else or somebody is lesser than me is not a godly view. It's not a Christian view. It's not a scriptural view. And so I think the very first thing that struck me is that the moment I find myself looking in a prejudicial way, or even a biased way, or a bigoted way at worst, those things are actually degrees of sinfulness. There's prejudice, there's bias. Prejudice means you look at some people as being less than others. Bias means that you actually begin to act differently towards them and treat other people better than others. Bigotry means that you begin to act hatefully or harmfully towards somebody else. And so any of those things are clearly something that's condemned in Scripture. So even in our current political debates or non-political debates, when we talk about the value of individual lives, the idea that Black Lives Matter it shouldn't even be the fact that it's even being stated tells us that there's a problem, that the very fact that some people feel so disenfranchised by other people that they would feel they need to make that statement. Now, we can get all the other political ramifications and all the different views that go into that. In fact, seeing quite obviously that whatever that message may have been in the beginning, it's been hijacked by a lot of other bad actors. But the reality is that it's the fact that humanity has been plagued with this problem of injustice towards mankind since the beginning. It started with Adam and Eve sinning against God, and it's just kind of rippled down through the centuries. And so I think that what we need to really begin to pray about is that God really help us conceptually embrace this idea that every man is my brother, whether they're rich or poor or good or bad. Because sometimes we like to think that the bad actors are people who are made of something different than the rest of us. As my Germanic mother used to always say, well, we're made of good stock. And never quite understood that. Always thought it was kind of a cattle reference. But nonetheless, it's this idea that some people are genetically better than other people, or racially better, or culturally better, or intellectually better, is really a sinful prejudice. And it really will hinder us from being effective in sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with the people around us, because we won't look at them in a loving way. We will look at them in a diminished way. And I quite guarantee you, there are some people that you'll meet that you'll think, well, I'm not going to waste my time on them. When in fact, they may be the very ones that God is trying to reach. You know, God chooses the insignificant things of the world, he said in 1 Corinthians 12, to confound the world. And the insignificant things that seem less to us are the things which God places the greatest value on. So we need to be very, very careful. I think about how the writer of Hebrews said that we should entertain strangers simply because in doing so, some have entertained angels and not even being aware of it. So all of that to say that the very first thing that's really hit me as I began reading these 4 chapters was that everybody is the same and everyone has the same value, that we're all created in God's image, and we need to recognize that not only are we called to be image bearers towards the world around us, but we're also called to recognize or look for the image of God in the people that we encounter on a day-to-day basis. I would just encourage you, make that a project for today, and we'll pick this up tomorrow because I have still some more things I'd like to say along these same lines. God bless you and go in his grace.